language. And we don't happen to have any Hebrew manuscripts of Luke, but it says Yeshua being about Hosea, which is nearing, but yet not having reached the point of. That's what that Greek preposition means. Hosea, nearing, what? 30 years of age, but not having yet reached the point of, what? 30 years of age. So this allows us to nail down when Yeshua, from his birth, now, when he begins his ministry, because this is about the time he is mikvahd in the Yarden by Yohanan ben Zakkai HaKohen, which many people call him John the Baptist. Got a hot news flash. His name wasn't John, and he wasn't a Baptist. Okay? Okay, good. So now what we're going to see, in Luke it says that Jesus was the supposed son of Joseph. Was he the son of Joseph? No, but people thought he was. Because Miriam took a road trip to see Elisheva up near Jerusalem, spent 3 months there. When she came back, already espoused to this man, she was putching out a little bit, and the wedding had not even happened yet. And if it was not Joseph's fault, then he would have had her stoned. But because he married her, everyone supposed that he was the son of Joseph, which got hooked up with Miriam before they came together for the marriage ceremony. That's what everyone thought. That's why the Pharisees said, "We be not born of fornication," implying that you were. You know, we know your family history. Only 300 people in the village of Nazareth. I mean, you know, you're not going to hide this thing. Okay, the wedding, we can count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months later. Oh, what a miraculous child. 5 months in gestation, a full-born baby boy. Wow, that's a real miracle. No, it was the supposed son of Joseph, who was the son of Heli. Joseph, who was the, what? The husband of Miriam, was the son of Eli, which is the son of Mathat, Levi, Melchi, Yano, Joseph, and keep on going down. So the Greek translation of the Scroll of Luke records the genealogy of Yeshua through his stepfather Joseph, the husband of Miriam. So we see that both Matthew and Luke are the same lineage according to what it says. So, according to the Greek and King James Version, there is no genealogical record of Yeshua to King David. This Luke's genealogy goes Joseph all the way back to King David through his son Nathan. Not the king line, his son Nathan. Furthermore, those two records do not even agree. Here we have in Matthew, Jesus, who was the son of Miriam, who is married to, who? Joseph. His father is Yaakov, and his son, put it up there so the whole world can see, okay? Yeshua, his stepfather is Joseph, but his father is Jacob, whose father was Mathan and Eliezer. In Luke, we have Yeshua, whose supposed father was Joseph, but his father was Eli, Mathat, Levi, Melchi, Yana, and Joseph. We have two different genealogies there, but they're not adding up. So, what we are going to see is what, first of all, I'm going to take you into what the Aramaic translation of Matthew's Gospel reads. Because why I say the Aramaic or Peshitta translation is because it is recognized. The Syrian Orthodox Church recognizes it flatly that the Aramaic Peshitta was a translation from a later Greek manuscript. They do not use it in the Syrian Orthodox Church. Now, I make it available. I have accessed it because why? Because back then, when you translate from the Greek back into the Aramaic, you're translating at least back into an Eastern culture language, into Aramaic, which is similar to Hebrew, and so you've got some of the same figures of speech. You've got things that just by going from Greek back into Aramaic, at least you're close to the source. But it is recognized with absolutely no question about it among the Syrian Orthodox that the Peshitta is a translation from the Greek text. And in fact, all of the later Greek additions to the later Greek text appear in the Peshitta. Why? Because it's from a late Greek manuscript. And so all the changes that they added in later centuries shows up miraculously in the Peshitta. And I'm going to show you why that's important, ladies and gentlemen, because when we come back, we are going to take you into these manuscripts, and I'm going to show you that Yeshua is indeed of the lineage of King David. But you're not going to read it in English, you're not going to read it in Greek, you're not even going to read it in Aramaic. We've got a source that we have been waiting for an entire lifetime, and what we're going to do right after we take this break is take you into that. As we talked about before about the Peshitta translation of Matthew's Gospel from the Greek into the Aramaic. Remember, it was first in Hebrew. Then it was translated into Aramaic. Then it was translated from the Aramaic into Greek. How do we know that? Because in the Greek and English New Testament of the Gospel of Matthew, Aramaic words still remain in the text. It could not be there in the Greek text unless it came through the Aramaic into Greek, but it was first in Hebrew. Now we go to later work, which is a Peshitta, which is a translation of the Greek, which came from the Aramaic, which came from the Hebrew, back into Aramaic again. Whew. But this is how the Peshitta translation reads. In Matthew 1:16, Jacob, or Yaakov, begat Yosef, the husband of Miriam, of whom was born Yeshua, who is called Messiah. That's how the English translation handled this particular thing. Now, I'm going to show you. What it says in the Peshitta is Yaakov begat Yosef, the Givrah of Miriam. The Givrah of Miriam. Givrah literally means mighty man. It doesn't necessarily mean husband. It doesn't mean father, it just means mighty man, and is usually used of the oldest man in the household. In my Father's house are many apartments. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? See, when we talk about this, there are many apartments because it's not many mansions, it's apartments. Because in the East, that when your sons grow up, and they then are time to marry, they build onto the house another apartment. And then they raise the next generation. And so you can have generation after generation living under the same roof. And that's why the Arab homes in Israel that we drive through on a regular basis, they are like every one is a mansion. You look at it and say, my goodness, who lives there? The Sheik of Araby? No such thing as Sheik of Araby. That's what my mother used to threaten me with. Send me to the Sheik of Araby. Anyway, no, it's just family upon family. And who is the Givrah? It's the oldest man of that household. It could be the great-grandfather, could be the father, could be the husband. It's not determined. Then we read in Matthew 1:19, Yosef, her husband being a just man, and that word is Ba'alah. So, in the Aramaic, there's a difference between Yosef, the husband of Mary, the Givrah of Mary, and Yosef the Ba'alah. Now, what is Ba'alah? Ba'al in Hebrew, Ba'alah in Aramaic, husband. Two different words. So, I have been telling you, and in the 4.5-hour video, which is Raiders of the Lost Book, the presentation I did with Nehemiah Gordon, which I had him do the center part concerning rabbinic Judaism so people can understand the Pharisees and the teachings of the Pharisees and understand Yeshua's commandment concerning do not follow the Takanot Maasim of the Pharisees. I have a former Pharisee teach that. But in that video I said that this Yaakov begat Yosef the Givrah, the mighty man of Miriam, must be translated as the father of Miriam. You remember that. You remember that video. But yet, Givrah doesn't necessarily mean father. It means mighty man. But I said it has to be. Because then you have Joseph, the 12th generation, the father of Miriam, making her the 13th generation, of whom was born Yeshua, the 14th generation. Now you have the lineage of Yeshua through his only earthly parent, Miriam, who goes back to King David through Solomon, the kingly line. I said, that is what had to have been there. And so I began declaring it 10 years ago. This is what it had to be. But all I had was a retranslation of the word Givrah as my authority. That was until last year at Yom Teruah. At the end of it, Nehemiah Gordon came up to me and said, I've got a treat for you. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see one real witness. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're going to see before your eyes is in your version of the Chronological Gospels. Now, many of you have it open to that page right now. This is the only place that you're going to see it in print. There are 2 people on planet Earth that know where these manuscripts are, and you have the photographs right in your hands. Ladies and gentlemen, read it and weep. Unfortunately, I do not have a pointer to show you what this is saying, but it says in this manuscript, from the second line all the way over, I can show you with my pointer right here, Yosef, Avi, Miriam. This is the ancient Hebrew text of Matthew's Gospel. This is the very thing that the rabbis could offer a $10,000 reward if you can show from the Christian Bible that Jesus has any ancestral lineage to King David, because they know it's not there. It's in the Hebrew Matthew. It says Yosef, Avi, the father of Miriam. And this was not found until just last year, ladies and gentlemen, secreted away in the archives of Jewish scribes, completely hidden from the Christian world. And Nehemiah Gordon, as an honest scholar who had nothing to gain from it, laid it in my hands and says, this is it. This is yours. This is why we have been waiting for. And all the trials and the tribulations and people trying to take over and steal the ministry, everything else that they did to try to stop me, I believe it was for that moment, because right at Yom Teruah, it was there within just a few days that Nehemiah's father and my father both passed away on the same day. And I have tonight, Deb, I need, excuse me, I need up in Jesus is the only one that can get that. Number one. Issue number 1. Okay? Yes, thank you. There are 2 up there. And because this particular pre-publication limited edition manuscript, there are only 1,000 of them that will be on planet Earth, is dedicated to the memory of my father, who I believe was about 30 years of age when he had his first heart attack, wasn't it? 32 years of age, and decided he was going to change his life, and he enrolled in Bible school. I thought he was going to go study the book of Hebrews. He came back from Bible school with a Hebrew manuscript, the Hebrew Scriptures. And you know, because he really wanted to know the Scriptures. And you know, at that time, just having a heart attack, he had to work extremely hard and working 90-hour weeks out at an apple orchard, running an apple orchard. And then from there, you know, if his children were ever going to go to college, if he's going to be able to take care of the family, he went to work for General Motors and worked midnight shifts and worked most of his life to make sure that this happened. And he did not get to fulfill his dream. But yet that dream was still alive in his children. And that dream was still alive to keep this, in the forefront, and I believe that that is why we have it today, because my father and my mother, who started out taking me to church when I was hardly old enough to cry and wet a diaper, and yet has before us. And so I have something before the end of the evening to show you, but both Nehemiah's father and my father, right after this, passed away. We were both on the road and could not be there at the side of our father when they passed away. But this right here is the absolute treasure. Yosef, Avi, the father of Miriam.